And it needs water, but it's
Oh, we
not.
didn't go to the far fridge.
The big one.
In the back. Top left.
It's still recording. Okay, let's tell knock knock jokes. Knock knock.
Boo.
Oh my God, we are friends.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, we're gonna call to order the regular council meeting of Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. I move to adoption of agenda 2.1 recommendation that council adopts the agenda. Can I get a second? Councilor Little, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? And carried. 3, adoption of minutes. 3.1 recommendation that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on April 3rd, 2024. Seconded by Councilor Johnston. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? And carried. And 4, introduction of late items is none. Item number 5.1 recommendation.
Recommend the council hears the auditor's report and adopts the statement of financial information, SOFI. Sophie.
Yep. Seconded by Councilor Woodall. Thank you. All right. Jaren, you're up. You can stand at our fancy podium.
Feel free to move it wherever you like.
Yeah, you can move it
Just right in
around.
front of the camera.
You can dance a bit if you want.
Well, no one wants to see that.
So that's no fun.
So.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me here again this year.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I believe you guys all have a set of draft financial statements in front of you there. If you turn to page 2, you will see our independent auditors reports. I will go through a Coles Notes version of it because, in fairness, it can be kind of dry to listen to the whole thing. But
What do you mean? This is really good.
I know. I find it. So it is addressed to the mayor and council of the corporation of the village of Goose Coopee. It states that we've audited the financial statements of the corporation of the village of Goose Coopee, which comprises the statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2023, and the statement of operations and accumulated surplus, changes in net financial assets, and cash flows for the year then ended, as well as the notes of financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the company financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the organization as at December 31st, 2023, and the results of operations and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of financial statements that have been prepared in accordance with public sector accounting standards, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. As auditors, our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. As part of an audit that's been performed in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of the material misstatement of the financial statements, obtain an understanding of the internal controls relevant to the audit, evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies used, we conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis, and we evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements. Finally, we communicate with those charged with governance, i.e. mayor and council, regarding, among other matters, the plan, scope, and timing of the audit, and any significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal controls that we identified during our audit. So, in other words, another clean auditor's report this year. So.
Yay! All right.
Any questions, or would you guys like me to do a brief financial summary, or anything like that?
Off you go, Councilor Little.
So page 2 would be a report there, under sewer fund division.
Management later, yeah.
Yeah. Get a little more information on that.
So what's happened there is you guys have your different funds, operating sewer, water. Sorry guys, it's been a long tax season. But anyway, you have your different funds, and that one has, a few years ago, went into a deficit. Basically, there was a transfer out to do a capital project at that time, and basically you guys just need to bring that back up to zero through motion to transfer out of your operating surplus into that specific surplus there. It doesn't actually change your cash or spending anything, it's just for the accountants in the
So
world.
it's, yeah, it's
Like,
just
we
transferring
need to see
from,
it, so.
from one sewage account into,
From the operating surplus into the sewage surplus, and then that will bring it to sewer, so.
okay, perfect. And that was on there for a couple of years, hey? It was sneaking under the wire. Darn things. Okay, did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's good, thank you.
I had a question on, expenses exceeding budget's amounts. So, did we go over our budget last year, or I was just sort of looking to get some more information on that?
You did, yes. So if you look on page 5 of the financial statements themselves, you will see your column there for the budget that you guys would have passed last, I believe it was May 23. And then if you go through there, you will see that you guys are over budget just slightly by about $50,000. So, okay. It's kind of spread across your general government. Protective services was under, public services was like $3,000 over. Biggest one is in your public health and welfare services that you were over budgeting.
Okay, thank you. That clears that. Councillor Whittle?
This might be to staff. That money that we went over in that, would that have been the money that we used for, the seniors aging in place program?
It was actually the cattails I had put into, capital, as I thought it was part of the larger project for the lagoon. And it was suggested that it was more of an operating maintenance.
Oh, okay.
Cause it wasn't high enough to bounce into the capital. Was that?
It was high enough, it was just determined to be more
It's
maintenance.
ongoing maintenance.
Ongoing
It
maintenance.
doesn't meet the definition of a capital item. So.
Okay. And then I have another question about our asset retirement obligations. So it shows there that we have those buildings that have, shown to have asbestos in them. As part of our asset retirement, that is something we're supposed to address eventually in the future. And this is something that council has talked about extensively within this room. And so while I was reading, I'm just sort of looking to, everything looks good in there, right? I was like reading it and I was like, I think we're good. But I know that from what I'm seeing, my understanding is those buildings depreciate each year due to that, or?
So the concept behind the asset retirement obligation is that basically when building has reached the end of its useful life, you guys should have accrued an approximate, and I say approximate because it's an estimate until you actually get in and start doing the work, an estimate as far as what the liability is to the village. The whole idea behind bringing in this new public sector accounting standard was to give better clarity to not only the citizens but also mayor and council as far as what liabilities the villages, cities, districts have. And this was one that was thought of to basically be kind of, unknown. It wasn't disclosed anywhere, right? It is something that, especially when we have older municipalities out there, it is a cost, but it's never been financially, identified and put on a set of financial statements. And so when they brought in this standard, it was to give you a better idea of what your obligations are down the road so that you can better budget for it and set the municipalities up in advance for when that time comes, needing to retire it. And so you will see on the financial statements there, a new line item for that liability there on the balance sheet. And currently, as of the end of 23, it has been estimated at a total of $63,000. And so when you compare that to your last year's financial statements, in particular in 2022, and that's why you'll see the restated there, you will not have seen that $62,819 liability there. So it's to try and give you guys a better idea of the scope of what you have coming up for future obligations.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That makes much more sense. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Jeremy while we have them? Well, that was short, simple, and to the point, wasn't it?
Once,
Worked out well. Well, thank you very much. It's wonderful seeing you again for another year, and thank you. Done a wonderful job.
Thanks, guys.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Stokes?
Motion is,
Motion to adopt this, or to approve the SOFI.
Financial statement.
Financial statements, sorry.
Yeah, can we do that with, yeah, that's fine? Okay, you never know. Some things with delegations you can't do it in front of
Fair,
them.
fair enough, so.
Make a motion
Appreciate it,
to
thanks
move
to
that
Sam.
money.
We'll have to get a report on that, so, would you like to put the motion forward
I'll
again?
put the motion forward to accept the social report.
Financial statements.
And that's seconded by Councillor Whittle. Discussion? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Wonderful. Alrighty. Unfinished business and business arising from the minutes, 6.1 recommendation.
Recommend the council approves the letter of support for the city of Fort Alberni.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle, thank you. Any discussion? Didn't have a note already here. Yeah, looks good.
It does.
Short, sweet, and to the point. Thank you very much, staff, for working on that. It's wonderful. All those in favor? And carried. All right. Number 7, new business, 7.1 recommendation.
The council approves the wording changes to the strategic plan.
Second. Councillor Johnston, thank you. So, you'll note in the report, so Urban Systems came back with a recommendation that we actually changed the wording to consider the feasibility of establishing a water fill station. So instead of concreting it in, right, it's,
I agree.
yeah, so that way we're not committing ourselves to developing one if that's not feasibly possible for the community, so. Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of, are we adopting it at this one, Ms. Stokes? This one makes it,
You've already adopted it.
okay, we're just accepting the,
You're just accepting the word change.
okay, thank you. All those in favor of accepting the word change? And that's carried. Thank you. All right. 7.2 recommendation.
Recommend that council picks a picture to represent grade 7 2024 legacy project.
No, they're so cute. So staff had a wonderful, oh, seconder?
No, second that.
Councillor Whittle, thank you. Staff had a wonderful idea. There's sticky notes on the table, so what we'll do is we'll go around after and we'll all put a sticky on our favorite, and then that will
The
kind
one
of,
that has the most stickies.
the one that has the most stickies wins.
And maybe we could ask our
Resident that's here?
Maybe he would like to
Now,
judge.
you might as well pick 2.
Yeah, he is, we'll get a pick too.
What do you gotta say today?
So what this is, yeah, so this is our grade 7 legacy project where the grade 7s get to paint one of the boards on the skating rink outside the school. So you can see it from the highway, and it's there to mark their graduating from elementary school into middle school. So it's a really cool legacy project that the village has taken on with the Dawson Creek Art Gallery. Very exciting. So the grade 7s have beautifully painted all these wonderful pictures for us, and they've learned all about the history of Pouce Coupe the past couple of weeks. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So staff can, yeah, we'll stick our stickies on there. Miss Stokes?
Yes.
We just picked the winner tonight, and that's it? I don't really know, like, the motion is just for us to pick one, but we're gonna do it after.
Yeah, and then I'll put it in the next agenda that this one won,
Okay?
or if you put it in the newsletter and stuff, and we'll, get Public Works to provide the 4x8 sheets of bendy plywood for them, and they will tell us what paints they want, and I will work with the art gallery to get them the paint. And then they've got till the end of June to paint.
I can't wait to see it. And we're technically getting 2 this year, so we have the one from the winner last year as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. So we'll have 2 of those boards painted.
Nice.
I know, I'm so excited to see them. Okay, so we're just gonna call an all those in favor, that's good? Okay, all those in favor? And carried. Perfect. All right, 7.3 recommendation.
The council received the meeting invite from Northern Health for discussion.
Seconded, Councillor Johnston, thank you. So Ms. Stokes, so we're being invited for a 30-minute meeting with, yeah, I thought it was super specific. Colleen Nice is gonna be there, the Northern Health Board Chair. Maybe we'll learn.
This is at Smithers.
Yeah, during NCLG.
Yeah, this is during NCLJ. So I guess really my question to council would be, you know, what are some things you'd be interested in me bringing forward? And if you're okay with us booking this meeting, right? Is that, well, this is kind of booked, isn't it? So, oh no, it isn't booked yet. Okay.
I'm asking you if you want a meeting.
Okay, what do you think, Northern Health?
So I'm not attending, it's yourself and Councilor Rabel, I do believe that are attending this, but I think it'd be good to get some FaceTime in there, and it might be something to touch base with their counterparts in Dawson Creek and the rest of the region, and go to them with a, you know, more of a regionalized message saying, hey, we need healthcare, because it's not just a Pooskoopi issue that we need doctors and nurses, it's an entire it's an entire region. And if we've got the opportunity to get some FaceTime in there, you know, I think that would be.
It's an ongoing issue.
Yeah, definitely an ongoing issue, but it'd be something to look at and, you know, see what, you know, resources we could possibly look at making available to members in our community. If it means, you know, looking at a place where we could potentially do like a telehealth, or have a place where people can have access to telehealth within the community if they don't have that connectivity, or something along those lines that could better help our residents.
So I know the Peace River Regional District is beginning to set up their meetings, and we just recently discussed this. And so, you know, the Peace River Regional District is consistent of all the mayors within the region. And talking to health, there were 3 different health authorities on their scope that they're looking to meet with. And we all together at the board began looking at what we would like them to talk with those different ministers about. And the biggest thing that came up was North Winds. Funding for North Winds has obviously been not as funded as they were originally hoping. So the original 3-phase project has been cut down to 2 phases at this point in time. And so that was one of the conversations that came up from all of the PRD mayors that were available. The staffing shortage, the Elgin Clinic, and there was one other, I was just, yes.
Well, actually, I seen a post that Northern Health said now it's not closing.
Oh, good.
And the Rural Health Network was another one, and just sort of, you know, finding different ways that, you know, how is Northern Health supporting this rural health network that's been formed within Dawson Creek. So if you're interested in getting a regional perspective, I could always sort of look at the notes of what were discussed at that last meeting regarding what the chair is going to be bringing forward to Northern Health, the chair of the PRD. And then, you know, that included ideas from me, that included ideas from Dawson Creek, Tumblridge, Chetwynd, Fort St. John. And I could kind of use that as a guiding plan if that's something that council is kind of interested in. And then that way we're all sort of coming from the same place, if that's kind of what you're
Yeah, and I think that would be, in my opinion anyway, I think it'd be best is to hit it from, you know, everyone hitting it from the same angle.
Absolutely.
Not communities working against each other or anything like that. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I did have it here, but I can't seem to find it. So I can always bring that information. Well, I'm not gonna have time to bring it back before the NCLJ, but I can send it in an email to all of council what the PRD board is going to be meeting with the 3 health authorities about, and then that will kind of give you guys a heads up of the topics that I would bring up during this meeting. Is council comfortable with me doing that?
Absolutely.
And are you comfortable with me meeting with Northern Health on your behalf when I'm at the NCLJ?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So all those in favor of me attending a meeting with Northern Health?
There's no motion.
Oh, well, okay. The motion is I would like to attend this meeting with Northern Health on May 15th. Can I have a seconder?
I'll second.
There you go. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. And yeah, I will bring that information back to you guys. Thank you very much. Ms. Stokes, can you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Okay. All right. Number 8, correspondence, 8.1. Want to read that one, Councilor Willis? Is Councilor Johnson a break?
It's correspondence.
Oh, it's correspondence, thank you.
If you want to open it up, we can.
Nope, let's accept them all, and then there's a couple I'm gonna speak on. Just
No,
one.
You don't
No.
accept them for information if you're gonna speak on them.
Fine, well, I just wanna talk
Read
my,
them all then.
April 1 recommendation that council receive the request support for resolution black bear cub conflict response by British Columbia Conservation Office Services for information. Can I get a seconder? Discussion? All those in favor? 8.2 recommendation that council receive the engagement letter from the PRRD as information. Seconded by Councillor Johnston, thank you. Councillor Woodall?
So, yeah, just going through and just reading to this end, I imagine staff is already, 3 steps ahead of us, working with the regional district on getting everything in line.
No, that's not just to you guys. But yes, I'm sure we are.
Well, I was thinking that this would actually be a really great opportunity for our fire chief to meet in collaboration with us and the Peace River Regional District to work collectively to identify risks and vulnerabilities in our area. We are very lucky because we do have our own Pouce Fire Department here, and so, our volunteer fire departments and our fire chief are an absolute asset. They come with a world of knowledge and information, and I think it would be a great opportunity for us to include our chief and maybe some volunteer firefighters to come in and meet with the PRD to identify these. I need a motion to allow the fire chief to take part in this discussion? No?
No, but you can make one just so we.
Okay, I put the motion on the floor that the Pouce Fire Chief and maybe a couple of our volunteer firefighters take part in this PRD engagement meeting to work with us collectively to identify any risks or vulnerabilities in our area. Okay.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Any discussion about that?
No, it'd be nice to, if we can include council in that, or someone from council in that discussion as well, because.
Probably be you.
Yeah.
You are the liaison.
The fire department,
Yeah.
so,
So
yeah, it'd be
I will
nice,
let you-
I'd like to be involved with that conversation, just to kind of get an idea of what's going on, and.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll let you know, or Ms. Stokes will.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. 8.3 recommendation that council received a call for nominations for the NCLGA as information. Seconded by Councillor Whittle, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? And that's carried, thank you very much. All right, well, I've given you a break, Councillor Johnson, so it's up to you now, because he's just missing on it.
Recommendation that council receives the report from the ACO/bylaw officer as information.
Seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Just throwing that man to the weeds, I'm telling you. Any discussion regarding this week's, bi-weekly incident report? Councillor
We have a
Johnson?
bylaw about big trucks parking in the village.
What kind of big trucks,
Like
like,
a semi.
like commercial trucks?
Yeah. I thought we did. I was just curious.
You know
I'm
that?
not sure, we have to look.
Can you bring that back, Ms. Stokes, maybe let us know?
Do you want me to bring it back, or would you like me just to email
Can
you?
You could just
email?
email.
Email, that would be
Emails are
perfect.
fine.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? And carried, thank you very much. All right, moving on to 9, bylaws. Oh, you go first.
9.1 recommendation, the council gives the first reading to the 2024-2028 financial plan, bylaw number 1056, 2024.
Seconder?
Secondly.
Councillor Whittle, thank you. I would just like to take a moment to speak on this while we're in our first bit of discussion. I would just like to say a big thank you to our staff for all of their work that they have done on this year's budget. This year has definitely been one of the more difficult years by far, and I appreciate the guidance and support that this mayor and council has received through our staff and contractors throughout this process. I also feel a need, while we are discussing it, just to clarify a few things, because there's a few misconceptions going around in the community regarding our budget. So, Ms. Stokes, I'm going to direct the questions to you, but you're most likely going to direct them to the CFO, but I'm going to do it through you. So Ms. Stokes, I'd just like to clarify that there is no money being put into reserves in this budget.
Correct.
Correct, thank you. And that there is actually money being taken out of reserves to cover the cost of the updated library budget.
That's correct.
That's correct. And the $2.4 million that was awarded to the municipality to help repair our lagoon, which is why our government transfers are so high.
Yes.
Thank you. And the $50,000 under the development services plan is an economical development grant from the government, am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And the $291,215 in Parks and Recs, is any of that money going towards the ball diamond repairs or upgrades that council had originally said they would make?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Thank you. And one last thing I just want to make very, very clear. Without the 10% tax increase, would we have to take more money out of reserves to cover this year's budget?
Yes, we would.
Yes. So we are unable at this point in time to lower the taxes to balance this budget.
Yes.
Thank you. Just like to make sure that that's clear. Thank you very much. Councillor Wood.
So yeah, in regards to the tax increase, I've talked to some of the residents in town, there has been some concern over it, but at the same time, we need to look long-term, big picture, and with the forecast that was put out in front of us, we need to look at, unfortunately, for some people, we need to look at raising taxes over the next couple of years so that we can sustain our operations off of our tax base. So that allows us to take that PRA money in the future and be able to replace infrastructure with it, be able to upgrade infrastructure, keep the community going. Because if we stay in the boat that we're in, where our tax base doesn't even cover the operations of the village, we don't have much of a future, so.
No, and our infrastructure is one of the oldest, and it's in some deep need of repair, yeah. And that is definitely one of the challenges that this council has been facing. Okay, anybody else would like to say anything? All right. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, 9.2 recommendation that council gives the second reading to the 2024-2028 financial plan, bylaw number 1056-2024. Seconded by Councillor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
9.3, that council gives a third reading to the 2024-2028 financial plan, bylaw number 1056-2024.
Seconded by Councillor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? And carried. Okay, recommendation 9.4, that council give the first reading to the tax rate 2024 bylaw number 1057-2024. Seconded by Councillor Woodall, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
9.5 recommendation, the council gives the second reading to the tax rates 2024 bylaw number 1057-2024.
Seconded by Councillor Woodall. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
And recommendation 9.6, that council gives the third reading to the tax rate 2024 bylaw number 1057-2024.
Seconded Councillor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 10, administrative reports. CAO report.
I have nothing to add, just to let you know we got approved for 2 summer students for our summer student grant. We received $4,000 grant for the Canada Day, and we're in the process of working on all the surveys.
All 4 of them. Yes.
Our plan is to bring a couple of them forward actually at Canada Day to have a booth.
Yeah, that's smart actually. Yeah.
And people can, if they have questions or anything they can ask, and we'll have the boards, but we're working on them.
Survey for most many surveys.
A survey for how many surveys we have? Don't even start. Okay, yeah, no, I think that Canada Day idea is actually really, really good. I know last year we had a booth set up for our OCP and stuff, and I found that worked really, really. We got more engagement at that than we did at the community open house that we actually ran.
Yeah.
So I know that Canada Day is a really, really great way for us to get out and talk with the community, and maybe this year, we should maybe look at having one of us at that booth as well the whole time, so that the public has an opportunity to talk to us. Because I know we're often wandering around Canada Day, but I find that people aren't willing to approach you with their questions if they think you're busy. So maybe next year, this Canada Day, that's something that we should maybe look at doing.
Ask a question.
Yeah, ask a question. I'm gonna start.
Take a ride on the dunk tank. Eric, ask your question, we answer your question, we throw the ball.
All right, there's no capital, oh no, we're moving on to action items. Oh, looking good. Things are almost done, hey, the OCP just has a few changes. And then everything else is kind of in limbo. That's good though, getting there. Okay, anything anybody wants to talk about, ask questions from the list? No, me neither. Alrighty. No capital and special projects yet, which we'll be getting one pretty soon now as we have completed the first part of dealing with our financial plan. Once that's adopted, that will begin coming in. Moving on to council calendars. When are you going to be away? Are you leaving anymore?
Well, I was supposed to be away now, but actually I'm going to be gone. It's already noted on here for me from the 7th to the 11th. Other than that, I am back home again for a while.
Okay. There's a few things I'd like council to note on this May calendar. So the museum grand opening takes place on May 11th. So that starts with the pancake breakfast that takes place at the seniors hall. And then they're gonna have a mini car show and a garage sale, and this year I'm running a bunch of kids games, so we're gonna do a bunch of fun little, fill the sponge with water and run it over and fill the other bucket. And
When can we start the donation?
I think they're already taking them, yeah.
I gotta clean out yet before that.
Yeah, no, as far as I know, the
I'll bring
museum.
stuff over to Les then.
Yeah, I had a post up here the other day looking for stuff.
Okay, I got lots of kids toys.
Perfect, he'll love that. Yeah, so the museum is accepting donations for their garage sale. So come on out, it's gonna be a wonderful day. I'm hoping it's gonna be beautiful weather. The next thing I would like council to notice is on May 23rd is Doig Days. So I don't know if you've ever taken part, but Doig Days happens out on Doig First Nations, and it's like a really cool event. I'm actually taking my kids to it. My whole family's gonna go. So they've got stuff for children, stuff for families. They have like a bunch of different things, and it's like a whole day thing. There's food, there's music, there's dancing, there's, like a bunch of really, really neat stuff for kids. I know a couple years ago at Doig Days, they were teaching the kids about tanning hide and stuff. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So if you are available on that day to go out and check out Doig Days, please do, because it looks like it's gonna be wonderful.
It's almost worth missing work.
I know, right? Well, I've kind of conned my husband into missing work. He's coming too, so I'm really excited.
That should be that.
And there may or may not be Danik tacos out there. I'm just saying, it's worth it. Okay, we're almost there.
Whereabouts is it held at, Doig Days?
So that's held out at Doig River First Nation, so that's just outside of Fort St. John.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like mile 73?
North side?
Oh, you guys are asking me directions.
You brought it up.
I know, I don't know. It's like out towards. See, is it Cecil? No, what?
Is it like do it quickly?
Help me out here, ladies. I don't even know. You know what? We'll pull it up on the map after, I promise. And I will be. I drove out there for the first time a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not super great with directions, but I will show you after we're all finished. And then in June, I would just like council to know from June. Wait, when are we leaving? June 5th to June 10th, I will be away. I'm going to the FCM in Calgary. I'm not gonna be here. And why are you giving me that look? Am I missing something? No? Okay. I'm going to FCM. I know it was not a council resolution that I go, so I'm paying my own money to go because I feel it is an absolutely important conference. And I would hate to miss it. Normally the conference is held in Toronto, and that's a way further trip. And so having this one so close, it's only like 10 hours away. It's being held in Calgary. I feel like we would be nuts to miss it. So I've decided I'm just gonna kind of make a trip out of it. I paid for it myself, but my older brother lives in Red Deer, so I'm gonna go visit him and kind of do a two for one. So the conference takes place from the 5th to the 9th, and I'll be going from the evening of the 4th to the 10th. Okay. And then I think that was all I could think of. Yeah, so that's everything. So we're gonna move on to reports. So Councillor Johnston, what you been up to?
Besides our special meeting, not a heck of a lot.
Just working, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Renovating.
Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Nobody likes renovating. Pull out the paint bucket and I run away. All right. Councillor Rabble is away with notice. Councillor Wall is away with notice. Councillor Whittle.
Been traveling on the road for work, home now. I did attend the meetings via Zoom. Wasn't able to speak a whole lot in the last meeting. But the behavior that was seen by some fellow councillors and members of the public towards staff was unacceptable. You don't always have to agree with people, but there's a nice way to go about it, and that wasn't it. So I was kind of disappointed to see that. I've had some feedback from members of the community about that as well. So that's what I was saying on that. Other than that, looking forward to touching base with the fire chief here now that I'm home, and making arrangements to get in to go meet with the RCMP.
Perfect. All right. Let me know how those meetings go. And yeah.
I'm glad you brought that.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, my report is, as I said, it's a long one, so I'll try to read it quickly. April 18th, I attended the PRD meeting in Fort St. John. April 19th, I chaired the Healthcare Scholarship Committee, which is one of my PRD portfolios. April 20th, I attended an autism awareness banquet in Dawson Creek. And this event was a fundraiser for accessible parks in Dawson Creek and the surrounding area. So while the event took place in Dawson Creek, there were actually about 5 families from Pouce Coupe that also went. And one of those families was a speaker. And so this event really highlighted the importance of having accessible parks in communities and the impacts that it has on those families that are dealing with disability with their children. So it was a beautiful event. It was a wonderful night. I got to connect with some of our community members that have those struggles that aren't normally identified in the everyday life, and so that was really, really great too. April 23rd, I met with the museum regarding their grand opening on May 11th, and as I said, there will be all that pancake breakfast and stuff, and so I'm running the kids games, which I'm really excited about. And then I also met with the Pouce Coupe Public Library on that day. Myself and Councillor Rabble spent a few hours down there helping them work on their budget to get it ready to present to council, and that's where we had sort of noticed some discrepancies that would have put them in a deficit, and so we worked with them on reconfiguring their budget and just sort of figuring those numbers out, which ended up working out really, really well. April 24th, I attended the connectivity meeting with the PRD. I was originally booked to attend Doig River First Nations on it for a Treaty 101 session, which is what I said I was doing last meeting. But sadly, with everything that was going on with the community at that time, I had to cancel. So I am hopeful that I'll get another opportunity to attend, because it was on Treaty 101 and the UNDRIP. So hopefully they'll be hosting that again, and I can go a different time. April 25th, I held a special meeting regarding the library budget, and then spent the evening at a Young Life dessert banquet with my family. I attended the Pouce Coupe Food Bank meeting on April 27th. April 29th, I attended the North Winds Advisory Committee meeting and received an update on the project. They're hoping to start phase 1 at the beginning of June. They currently have, phase 1 is going to consist of 40 beds, so there will be 10 detox beds, 10 treatment beds, 20
recovery beds.
20 recovery beds, yeah. So they've got a pretty good flushed out plan there. I'm very excited. They're also talking about starting another sort of society built off of the 2 boards. Right now it's the advisory committee, which I sit on with other fellow Northern Health officials, and Area D sits on there, and North Wind staff and stuff. Now they're talking about creating another society that branches off of that board, just to help manage the assets and the programming. And when I spoke with Mr. Hernandez, he understood the importance of having somebody from the community be represented on that board as well, so that, you know, we're always bringing our voice to the table, which I thought was fantastic. And then April 30th, which was yesterday, I attended a community-to-community meeting with Soto First Nations through the PRD. And I'm actually gonna have a report coming forward at the next council meeting regarding some conversations that I had there. The same day I attended a bit of the emergency management meeting where we talked about preparing the community for emergencies and EOC centers and how to be prepared for the upcoming fire season. Please note, on the most recent Village Voice, there was a volunteer appreciation barbecue happening around that, and I think that's happening in Dawson Creek, so it was on the front of your Village Voice, if I remember correctly. Ms. Stokes?
It's not a barbecue, it's being held at Beans and Barley, and
Oh.
it's on May 14th.
Thank
I
you.
believe they're doing volunteer recruiting, and they're also doing a volunteer appreciation.
Oh,
all
wonderful.
together.
All in one. So
Yeah,
if
but
you're
it'll be at
interested,
Beans and Barley on May 14th.
if you're interested in volunteering, or you volunteered last year and would like to sign up again and maybe have something to snack on, May 14th, Beans and Barley in Dawson Creek. Thank you very, very much. And that's what I've been up to. So that's the thing I sent you. Yes, Ms. Stokes?
I forgot to mention something in my report, and that is that all the remedial work is done on the old library. It is now sturdy, people can go dance on it. There is no mold, they've removed all the mold, they've sealed it, so it's all safe now, so everybody can, and the church has been advised that they can go back in.
And you were looking into some grants for that, hey, Ms. Stokes?
Yeah, we haven't found it yet.
Haven't found any yet, hey? Cool. Okay, well, thank you for looking.
Always looking,
Always looking, I know.
got our grant writer working really hard.
Wonderful. All right, now we move to question period. Do you have a question for anything regarding the agenda there, sir?
Yeah, I think I do. Did I just hear Councilor Whittle right when he said I made comments on the past meeting.
No, so the comments that I'm referring to were made by other members of the public where they were being disrespectful to staff. Those are the comments that I'm referring to.
You know, like council, members of he's asking, are you saying members of the public were being disrespectful to staff and?
No, there was one member of the public that was disrespectful to staff, and also one of our fellow councillors that was disrespectful to staff. And that's what my comments were regarding. Wasn't regarding anybody else's comments that spoke in the last couple of meetings. There was one in particular, lady that spoke that was quite disrespectful to staff, and then our fellow councillor that was disrespectful to staff.
I must have missed it. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Anyway, one other thing, I noticed you're being quite supportive. I'm not up to date on this Northwinds project where it used to be the seniors hall. But you're being quite supportive on all these treatment programs. And I suppose these are drug related.
Yeah, so this is a treatment facility that has been planned to be built within Coos-Coopee with Northwind. So Northwind runs the treatment facility in Farmington, and they've outgrown the facility that's out there, and they're having a few issues. So they've been looking for a place to build a newer, larger facility. So they've teamed up with Northern Health, and Northern Health owns the old senior center here in Coos-Coopee, and that's where they've planned on building it. So the lot does not belong to Coos-Coopee, it already belongs to Northern Health, and Northern Health is planned to build a larger Northwinds treatment facility, and so.
Not the one that's trashed down. This is the old hospital you're talking about.
This is the old Peace Haven, the one that burned down.
Okay.
Yeah, so
The
it's,
new building.
so they're gonna build a brand new building there, yes.
My concern about this, I hear so much of this province-wide, and about the treatment and facilities, we hear basically nothing about prevention.
Well, and so this is one where, yeah, Northwinds is a private treatment facility, and they've teamed up with Northern Health. And so they are getting support from Northern Health. They were hoping to originally build a 3-phase, long-term treatment facility where it went literally all the way from original detox treatment to then at the very end, they were going to team up with the college to get people, once they had been treated and had gone through the counseling process and all of that, into either trades work or going back to school. That's the phase 3 that's no longer being funded. They are hoping to have it funded so that, you know, not only are these people then getting support and help, but then they're also able to have the opportunity to go back to school or, you know, get experience in trades or social work or, and then, you know.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure you understand what I'm saying. That there's being so much effort, resources, money put into these treatment and ongoing programs, but I never hear of anything being put into prevention for getting into this situation in the first place.
Well, unfortunately, right now with the provincial government and their decriminalization, that pilot program that they're trying, that the federal government, or the conservative federal government, or conservative parties against right now, with that in place, it makes it really hard to, you know,
They're really trying to get that.
to prevent, right? They're trying to try a different approach. Is it working? That's arguable. But it's one of those things that unfortunately, you know, there's not a whole lot as a municipality that we can do. It's handled at provincial and federal level.
I can understand that, but when I hear there's strong support for these treatment centers, always strong support for the treatment, but seldom a mention of prevention.
Yes, and as Councilor Whittle said, there's really not, like, with this new.
Well, the decriminalization was brought in as a treatment, more or less, measure.
Yeah, and
Not as a prevention measure.
they're sort of piloting that from, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's from New Zealand. They had witnessed that within another area and saw success with it, but the problem is that where they originally started it, there was a lot more treatment centers, there was a lot more supports than what we currently have in British Columbia. So the province literally sort of put the cart before the horse, because there really isn't very many treatment beds within, like, the province. And oftentimes people from up here, when they decide that they would like treatment, our Northwinds facility decides that is constantly full, and then they're often like sent down to Nanaimo, Vancouver, Kelowna, but those are filling up as well. And so now there's like a 6 to 8 week waiting list. And what's happened recently, I spoke about it at the last council meeting, is that when people up here asking for help, they're being told that no, you can't get help now, you need to wait 6 to 8 weeks. And in the past few weeks, we've actually lost 2 young people while waiting for help, for treatment due to drugs, and so there really is a huge need for a larger treatment facility up here, because people up here just are not getting the same access.
You're missing what I'm saying. There is no resources, no efforts being put into prevention.
Well,
It's all being put into treatment, and I look around the community, especially Dawson Creek, worse than Pouce, I think. I mean, our quality of life, our quality of community is deteriorating. It's going downhill. And by chance, you might say, about 10 days ago today, maybe, I ended up being in ICU at the hospital for the evening, probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's absolutely disgusting. And to think that any healthcare workers or any worker of any kind could work under those conditions, and we continue to cater to these treatment facilities. Some of these people are going to have to take responsibility for themselves at some point. There was a 35, 40-year-old guy, capable looking individual, in this room, funneled off by himself a bit. They pulled the door open. They'd have 2 RCMP officers on guard at that door. Amongst this, they've got people coming in on stretchers. I couldn't tell you the difference between the ones that were patients and the ones that were whatever, bringing them in or whatever. And the staff, how they could function, seemed to be one doctor there that was trying to handle all of this. And this is all resources that is funneled toward treatment and so on. But at a younger level, I think there should be more resources and I know Pooskoopi can't be the one that makes the decision, but Pooskoopi doesn't have to be the one throwing their support behind all these treatment centers and so on.
So I guess like my question to you in regards to prevention is, what do you see in the future of different things that the province could do to prevent it? So like what is something that you would like to see? Like, I'm going to be going down and I'm gonna meet with Northern and NCLGA, and part of being the mayor is representing the members of the community. And if that's something that you would like me to bring up, I would be more than happy to.
Well, myself, I'd like to see a little bit of a more hardline approach to the individuals themselves to, you chose this lifestyle somewhere down the line, and be responsible for it. Not somebody else or some other group or some community to try and go to great lengths to develop these facilities for treatment. Whereas these resources now, I think that focus on a younger age of the population and focus a little bit more on prevention, and maybe we could teach the younger generation. And I think you made the question, like, what do I see for the future? I don't know what to see for the future, but I am worried about it.
Yeah, so I know I've got a son that's 12 and I've got a son that's 15, both in public school. And what they're going with for prevention now with the kids is more on the education side, which hopefully with being educated on what they can do, you know, and the ramifications of these drugs, hopefully, you know, and some good parenting steers them away from that. When it comes to, you know, as a municipality looking at taking a harder line stance, I know there has been talks within different municipalities about doing certain things to say, like our smoking bylaw, for instance, you can't smoke within 3 feet or 3 meters of the doorway, but yet under the provincial drug use, you can use drugs in that area. And there has been municipalities that have looked into strengthening their bylaws so that they can public settings. And unfortunately, the province has pushed back on them and said, hey, that's discriminatory, you can't do that. So unfortunately, it's one of those things, as much as, you know, do I think having treatment centers available is a good thing for people that want treatment? Yes, but unfortunately, treatment's not gonna do anybody any good unless they actually want it. And when it comes for education, it's one of those things that, you know, there isn't I don't think there's a simple solution to it. I know as a municipality, if we push too hard on it, it's one of those things we'll get pushed back from the provincial government. And for educating the young people, you know, it's a matter of coming up with something that works, right? I grew up, and so did some of our other councillors, we grew up in the drugs are bad era, and that's all they said was drugs are bad. Well, unfortunately, it's a good chunk of our generation now that are, you know, into the drugs and into that, and part of that scene. I know several individuals that have passed recently over in that scene. And so they've had better results with the education, but unfortunately, I think it's just one of those things that's going to take time. And I agree with you, you know, there needs to be more of a hardline stance on prevention, but unfortunately, without provincial and federal support, it's really hard from a
understand,
perspective.
but the point I was only trying to make is that, like, as the council, and I realize you don't have the teeth to change it, but you do have the voice to say, we are tolerating these treatment facilities, but it is not our first choice. We would like to see some more effort put into prevention. Does that sound reasonable?
It does.
Yes, I agree. I support treatment facilities. I grew up in Dawson Creek. I've lived in this area my entire life. I'm 37, and 19 of my friends that were good people died because of drugs. I'm talking single moms that made a mistake. We're talking young people that, you know, grew up with abusive homes and struggled with their mental health and turned to drugs. We're talking.
I don't argue for a second that this is very sad or bad, sad more than bad. But this should be brought into the focus. This should be put up in front. This is what happens if you get involved with this situation. And never mind, well, if you get involved in drugs, you will have to go to the treatment center. that is not a good attitude, I don't think, to portray to a younger generation.
No.
If you get involved with these drugs, then you're gonna end up in the treatment center. I don't think that's a good message to put forward to a younger generation.
No, and I definitely understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I am aware that we're all already there, and that, you know, many of those people that are struggling, they are people. They are people who used to be just like me and you, and while prevention is definitely something that we should look at through new bail reforms, which is what the RCMP has been fighting for, you know, harder action taken towards repeat criminals, you know, the PRRD and many of the municipalities locally have been, you know, writing letters and fighting for that. I think we need to look towards the future, but we also have to look where we're at as well. And, you know, right now, we have young people in our community that are dying, waiting for treatment because there isn't any.
That's sad. I was closely involved with, I put a lot of effort, only one individual, mind you, but he was a great education for me. And I was involved, or he was involved in my life from the time he was a local boy too. From about time he was about 12 years old, and till, well, I'll go to the end of the story. At 36 years old, he put a rope around his neck and hung himself. But in between times, from age 25 to 35, he was always inside either parole, probation, or jail. And I put lots of effort, actual cash, $2,300 to send him to a facility in Prince George, a treatment facility, so that he could get out of there. And he seemed to have better connections to the drug business after he got out than before he went in. Anyway, I don't want to go on too much about that, but that's the main experience that I have with it. And I'm getting so, what do you want to call it, on guard about treatment. And when I see like 3 levels of treatment that you mentioned for here, and you want to put your support behind it, I'd rather see you put your tolerance behind it.
I think that you've definitely brought an interesting conversation for me to bring forward to Northern Health when I go to the NCLJ, which is what is their approach on, you know, being proactive rather than reactive to what's currently going on. You know, I'm definitely going to ask what their prevention plan is. We can see the mess that we're currently in, so is the province working towards some form of prevention, and, you know, how can we as municipalities
If there was any proof that these treatment facilities were going to lead to a bend in the road, you would have my support. But I don't see it. I see the treatment facilities as making the situation worse. Maybe in the short term for some individuals, but for the general population, that's a consideration. That if for say a 15-year-old, I'll use for an example, I don't know if that's an age or not, but for them to know, well, if this gets out of hand, I'll have to end up going to a treatment facility. That's not a good attitude, I don't think, for it.
Well, I would definitely love to continue this conversation,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna adjourn us.
You just asked a better comment. That's it.
Yeah, no, thank you. No worries. So we're gonna go to rise and report, there's none, so I adjourn.
All right, let's take a picture.
You know, thank you, Mr. Grant, for, you know, keep on
There's little
coming and
red stickies over there.
keep commenting and
And just one on the